All right, well, thanks to those who are here live and those watching on recording. I know it's the middle of the summer, but we've got some fun updates and yeah, there's lots going on these days. Today we'll be sharing a bit about the demos we've done recently, and also we'll be doing a live demo of a cool tool that's being worked on right now regarding CI/CD. So Timur's on the call for that. And yeah, otherwise we'll be catching up a bit on Project Inca updates and what's happening from an operational standpoint on the grid. And I don't know, I think, yeah, maybe Scott or Mick, do you want to should I hold control of the screen for the first?
I think you should present the screen
Okay.
then
Okay.
Scott. And
Sounds good. So let me share quickly. All right, well, no, let's go to the first slide, not the last. Okay, great. So today is August 1st, and today we'll be going through, as I mentioned, a few fun use cases and demos. So the first two are not live demos, but as you hopefully know, we're hosting weekly, at least twice a month, we're hosting live demos around certain offerings and solutions on the grid. So last month we hosted one on NextCloud, which is a really nice alternative to Google Drive if you've never heard of it before. And then also quite a really cool demo with where Scott was able to deploy through TFROBOT 100 virtual machines in just a few minutes. So we'll talk a bit about those. And also Timur, as I mentioned, will be doing a live demo of Juggler, which is a solution that he and the team are working on these days. And we'll catch up on upcoming demos. The next section will be more focused on Project Inca and just kind of what's going on there these days. What are the latest updates? And as I mentioned, we'll also be chatting a bit about the newest development updates. We have a couple kind of operational updates to share as well. And I think we can get started. So we'll start with some case studies, and I guess Scott or Meek, I'm not sure which one of you will take it.
Hey, everybody. So yeah, we've been doing demos lately. Some people on the call have been attending the demos. Thank you for showing up. If you haven't been there, you can come join us live, experience the action firsthand, as far as firsthand goes on Zoom. A couple that we've done recently. So one is NextCloud. I think a lot of people have heard of it. It is a comprehensive cloud alternative that has files, contacts, calendar, all this sort of stuff that we use Big Cloud for. And Meek and I, a while ago, put some work into developing a nice solution on ThreeFold Grid with NextCloud, so you can easily deploy it from the dashboard. So we showed off how that works. And it's cool. So anyone can go and deploy a NextCloud instance. We have documentation in the manual. It's there in the dashboard. So if you want to try it out, go ahead. And if you want to see the demo, these are all recorded and we share them on YouTube, so you can check that out as well.
Yep.
And yeah, we can go ahead. The next demo here is with TFROBOT. So this is a tool that our development team has built for creating large deployments. You can actually deploy thousands of virtual machines using TFROBOT. Takes a bit more time to deploy thousands of machines. So the demo I did is deploying 100 VMs in less than 5 minutes. I think it actually took about 3 minutes in this case. And TFROBOT is cool. You're able to define the types of machines that you want in a fairly simple configuration format, how many machines that you want, and then you just basically hit go and it does its thing and finds the nodes, deploys machines, and gives you back the configuration so that you can connect to them and do what you need to do. So this was a fun one. And again, if you want to check that out, there's a recording, and of course we have documentation about how to use TFROBOT available as well if you'd like to test it yourself.
Yeah, Scott goes very fast, but this is a very cool tool, this TFROBOT. So I would really, whoever is watching this, you go to the documentation and try it out, because that's one of the things who sets it apart. Like if you have a use case where you want to test some code or something on 100 machines at the same time, doing that in other clouds might be difficult. But with TFROBOT and a little bit of scripting around, you can get very far. And that kind of goes over to what Timur is going to talk about. So when we said CI/CD, that stands for continuous integration and continuous development, which I believe is a very nice use case for the grid. And Timur and team have been working on some tooling around that. We have our own. So as probably most of you know, we have the capacity layer, which is ThreeFold Grid. And on top of that, we have something called the Hero, and the Hero has its own script called the Hero script, which is a very simple declarative language. It's barely a script actually. And it allows you to do very cool things. And what is different between this Juggler and other existing tools like you have it in GitHub or Git. By the way, anyone who wants to today, you can use GitHub runners, you can use Git, which is an alternative of GitHub runners, and put them on our grid as well, right? So you can literally use the existing grid with the existing CI/CD tools. But we also made another one which is easier to use and which can easily work over multiple nodes. So you could, when code changes, what actually happens is the code changes, it triggers an event. That event goes to the juggler, and then the juggler can pull in the required instructions from somewhere else. That's one of the benefits compared to GitHub Actions. For people who know GitHub Actions, here there is not a one-on-one relationship between the repo and the code on the repo. You can have the code triggering something, and then you have the code which needs to be executed on other repos. So you can manage your security better. And what is also makes it more easy, you can, as part of your continuous integration, use many more machines. So you could in parallel get like different types of Linux machines on different locations in the world, get them to talk to each other, put up clusters. So you can do much more complicated scenarios. And but I'm now going to give the word to Timur, so he can hopefully give you a demo. We are using this tool internally for our websites, for our lots of deployments, and we will do that more and more. And that way, so it's an in-house grown tool, which we also want to give back to the community. Timur, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's been exciting to develop this, and as Christoph said, and especially after TFROBOT, like in the future, we could perhaps deploy this over multiple nodes. So I'll just demonstrate how it works quickly, and then we can talk more about it. So I'm already logged in, and here, basically, I have all these triggers that I have set and scripts. So the trigger is like a git push to a repository, and these are the ones that we have certain scripts defined for. And here, so then when I go to activity, I can actually see the events that have happened, and this is me testing it 15 minutes ago, and the scripts that I run as a result. So I'll do one quickly now.
Maybe Timur, can you explain just a little bit more? And because I'm sure that only very few of our listeners understand what CI/CD is. So maybe you or Scott, or I don't know who, can explain a little bit more what is CI/CD, how does it link back into our own grid, and then hopefully it's a little bit easier for our community to follow what we've done, if that makes sense.
Yes. So CI/CD is basically when we want to make sure that as we make changes on code or content, we want the deployment. So like if we're publishing it on a website, to be updated as we make changes. And it's used across a lot for staging changes and publishing releases. So we're also internally using it for mostly our content right now, our websites and our books. So this is what CI/CD allows. And in relation to the grid, we can actually define some of these scripts and we want to get to a point where we can get the scripts to run on multiple nodes. So I can say, oh, when I make a change to this content, which could be, let's say, the ThreeFold.io website, I want this to be run on these 3 nodes and the site to be rebuilt. So then I can have this very nice connection between the grid where I deploy my stuff, the nodes, and the changes I make, I guess. And yeah, so I can actually show one of these scripts, what it looks like, the hero script bit. So Dünya Yetu is our charter and movement in Tanzania to get the grid going, and this is the script for running the book, which is actually open here. So this is at info2.dünyayetu.tf, and this is actually being deployed by this Juggler tool. Here I have my instructions, and in my instructions, I'm able to say, oh, when I do this, you know, and this is still a low-level instruction. We're also working on making this way more human readable, where we want to get to a point where your instructions of deploying are easy to understand by anyone. But yes, so this is basically where I have my publishing information. And then when I make a change, so let's say I want to change something in this book, I can go. This is where the book is, the content exists, and I edit. And let's say, okay, I want to make this I letter capital, and I do commit. So now when I go back to Juggler, we will see that it's actually triggered this new instructions to rebuild the website, change that letter I, and republish it where it's supposed to be published. So yes, in activity, I can see, one moment. I can see that now, okay, I made an update, and I can see that as a result of this, all of these scripts were triggered, because this update that I made is in our main content library, where a lot of websites are being served and created from. And here I can see that, do I have Dünya Yetu? Yes, Dünya Yetu, it's successful. I can access the logs of the instructions. And again, we're also working on making these more human readable. But at this stage, because it's just an internal tool, it's mostly me and Mika and a few others using it. So, and yeah, and this is successful. So now when I go to the book, and if I refresh, then I can see that, okay, the letter I is now capital. So, and at this stage, this is all being done from one node, but we can easily integrate this with tools like TFROBOT to have some redundancy. We can say, if it's like our main website, we want to be able to serve it from multiple nodes. So we can say, run this instruction, but in these nodes. And this then becomes a very nice tool for developers just to use to publish things and share things. So this is still in progress, but we are working on it to make it better. And yeah, we want to release it as a product for our community so that they can also use it.
Thank you, Timur.
Thank
I
you,
think
Timur.
it's very cool. Okay, it's a little bit hard to follow and maybe a little bit abstract for some of you, I'm sure. But this basically means that you can manage your content, whatever that content might be, websites, wiki, documents, anything really, even business code or so. And it would automatically trigger actions onto the grid, which then would result in a website live somewhere or anything else. So it's very exciting, actually. And I think Timur and team did a very good job to make it much more simple than what's normally known into this market. And it's a very good use case for our grid, because then you can deploy lots of machines, many locations. So stay tuned to see what's going to happen from that domain in the future. But well done, Timur. It's a very good, very amazing job.
Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Timur. So Yeah, just for the record and to remind, twice a month we do demo sessions which are exclusively focused on one specific topic, and I think it's quite nice to blend a demo into these sessions as well. So next month we'll be hoping to have Omre, who's actually on the call, do some presentation about what he's working on, but maybe Scott and me can give you a preview about what's coming in August.
Yeah, so basically we did the first part on how to deploy AI workloads with the CPU, and now this time we will show you how to use the GPU. So we'll deploy on the node on the grid with the GPU, and we'll be able to have a faster compute power. So yeah, evidently we can try some nice features of AI, such as image recognition and image generation, and actually we'll see what type of thing we can come up with. So this should be fun. And then also we'll show you how to use the Zero OS hub. So basically this hub is hosting the F-list. Maybe if you don't know about F-list, it's an effective way to deal with software data, providing fast deployment and high reliability. So we will see how to start from a Docker image and turn it into an F-list. And then we will be able to deploy this F-list on a micro VM on the grid. So once you understand the basic of this technology, it opens many doors, because you can then use basically anything that you can run on a Docker image, you can turn into an F-list. So for example, all the application on the dashboard are using this technology.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see the full connection to how quickly you can go from some code on your local machine into a Docker image, and then say using TFROBOT into thousands of VMs. It's all very neat how the pieces fit together. And it's also very cool what you can do as self-hosted AI these days. If anyone hasn't seen it, you can check out the last demo that we did, just to see how quickly you can get up and running with self-hosted sovereign AI running on ThreeFold Grid. It's very cool.
Great. Thank you for the updates and looking forward to those sessions. I think, Christoph, the next section would be for you.
Thank you. Dave Browser. Yes, I hope you see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, everyone. Voila. Thank you for joining us in summer. Project Inca. So Inca stands for Internet Capacity. I'm just trying to give an update here on behalf of the team. So what is Project Internet Capacity? It's nothing more, nothing less than our next generation ThreeFold Grid 4.x. By the way, soon we'll have an alpha version of our 0S for the 4.x version, and it will have a new token called Inca. I'll explain why we have that. That token is completely compatible with TFT. So we are with the team working on it, and the partnership talks are going. So there are a couple of things happening right now. Most of the preparation has been done. We're now working on partnerships. So we're talking with DeepIn and blockchain partners. Some are really big partners we're talking to. And it's very nice to see how they react. It's well, for some of them, it's in the beginning a little bit like, oh, but maybe are you guys competition? Or we don't know, we don't understand. But then quite quickly they are like, oh wow, this is really incredible. Can we sort of host our DeepIn stuff on something which is more decentralized, and we don't have to go into Amazon, or we don't have to go into Google, and we're getting very nice traction there. So now we are looking with them to see what does that mean, right? How can we together work into this launch? How much capacity do they need? What will they run on top of us? Two of them already went through the diligence, so they already said yes to continue, and now we're talking with more. The second topic, which is taking a lot of time from the team, is fundraising. It's absolutely impossible to do a token launch without having enough cash in your bank account. So we have the pitch deck is done. The teams are talking to some people, but okay, it's summer. It's a little bit quiet, to say that at least. So we hope that September will be much more active. The feedback is good. Of course, you don't always have good with everyone, right? Sometimes we're already too mature for some investors because they can be used to smaller projects which are just starting. So we're a little bit different than the average project out there, but the feedback is good, and we're getting some nice traction. we need at least $5 million to make a good splash in the deepen space, but we're fundraising much more. So we will see how that goes, right? There are, by the way, multiple paths how that fundraising goes. We do the fundraising directly on Project Inca, which is from Dubai, but we're also fundraising our holding company, which also might be able to then do the investment where needed. And something I will talk about in this call is, should we already launch organically, or should we wait till we have more of that funding into our bank account? Because as we all know, right now, the token is very low. It's super low, I would say, way too low in comparison to the project and to what we do. But that's, of course, up to everyone to make up for themselves. And yeah, what we probably don't want is that it keeps on slipping. Now, it doesn't mean that much yet, because if you look at the liquidity, so the amount of money going around in a day, it's very, very low. It's like a couple of $1,000s per day. So it's super low, which means it doesn't, actually that number doesn't mean much. From the moment that people will start buying the token, it will go up. But it does mean that at this stage, still more people are selling than people are buying. Not surprisingly, because we're not making marketing, we're not really out there yet about version 4.x. So as long as we're not going to start making more noise and do more things, then obviously that token might keep on slipping. But again, I would like to make sure everyone understands that there is a relationship between liquidity and price. And because the liquidity is so low, in other words, not a lot of people are buying or selling, that number, that valuation number actually doesn't mean much. If you would like to buy a lot of tokens for your capacity, right, because the token is there for a purpose, you would see that it would not even be that easy to buy a lot of it. So in our pitch, we're telling everyone that we're sort of halfway through our journey, right? So what does that mean? As most of you know, about $50 million was invested so far by the community and by the investors of the tech company behind. And that give us enough fuel to create the technology, get it out there. We're, of course, very grateful for all the farmers who put a lot of hardware to work, which is part of that investment. And I can imagine that some of these farmers are getting a little bit anxious that things need to go faster now. So we're now in phase 3, where it's now out, it's working, technology is proven, we have some very good traction. We're not going to repeat that on this call, but we're working with some government, with some countries and so on, so things go quite well. And now we're in phase 3. We need to go to millions of nodes. And to get there, we also need to focus on service levels and supportability. And that means that once we have enough nodes, we can also focus more on utilization. But like any cloud model or telco model for that matter, it's very important to have enough nodes out there, and then you can grow from there. This phase 3, that's where we introduce the Inca token to basically fuel that next wave. And then phase 4 will be all about we are the standard, more and more people can use it. So that's why in phase 3, as you saw on the previous slide, we're focused on the partnerships, big partnerships, and we're focused on fundraising, because that's now the next thing we need to do. I'm sure you have some questions. It's at least what I heard. So what is the team behind Project Inca? Who is doing it? That's a question I heard. So one of our big farmers, Green Edge, thank you, Green Edge, some motivated, active community members, and of course our team in Dubai, they make up the task force for Project Inca. Okay. We also hired deepen consultants who are helping us with positioning, tokenomics, who will be ready to help us launch. We're also consulting with many other deepen projects to get their feedback. It's very nice to get their reaction, and that also leads to great partners. So it's like a win-win. We get their feedback, we can learn from what they have already done before, and also most of them we talk to, they actually want to build on top of us. So that's a good win-win situation. Eventually we need to have a dedicated team for Project Inca, but that will require the funding to come in. And we're definitely still looking for more contributors. We can reward with tokens, but not with cash right now. Another question we sometimes get is, why a new token? Why not just continue with TFT, right? In principle, we could, but I think it's a little bit complicated in our case. So TFT led us to go through phase 1 and 2 of our roadmap. That's the previous slide. And that was the purpose of TFT. And we're very proud in how far we got. We have one of the bigger networks now in the world, and we definitely have the majority of the features. If we talk to these projects, they're very amazed by the depth of the technology we have put behind. So the next phase is, like I said, all about expansion. But to do that expansion, we need to change, we need a new tokenomics. And that requires a new token. And that tokenomics needs to be more based on utilization, more based on rewards and line to SLAs, to uptime. And of course, there still need to be farming reward to reward farmers who are doing more than the normal. And of course, it all needs to make sense. Now in cloud, there is a lot of money to be made. So we just need to make sure that whatever model which is going to be used in version 4 is to the best interest of the farmers of 3, of the farmers of 4, of the investors, and so on. So there are many stakeholders, and that's why it's a little bit complicated. Now, technically, we could change the rules of TFT in the farming, but our compliance advisors advised against that, that it's better to have a new token. So there is a clear cut between how TFT works in the 3.x version and how Inca then will work in version 4. Okay, so that's why it's better to have another token. Do we abandon TFT? Of course not. Are you kidding me? That's the last thing we're going to do. So TFT is the token of ThreeFold Grid 3.x, and everyone will be able to use that TFT, just like has been promised, to buy capacity on 3 as well as on 4. 4 will be a sort of rather seamless add-on to 3, so it's not like a forklift upgrade. We're even thinking that by maybe the end of summer, some farmers can already deploy a first 0s4 it's not that as a farmer you will see that much difference, but it will already have these concepts of the 4.x in there. And the utility of the TFT, of the token, stays completely intact. So as we have more utilization, as we have more stakeholders and other companies coming on board, that obviously will reflect positively on TFT. Another question we got is how many tokens are there now? It's about 960 million. I'm not exactly sure, but we're getting closer to the billion. We will stop farming once we hit 1 billion TFT, like as has been agreed with the community, and we did a vote for that. And then after the billion TFT, it will all be Inca on our ThreeFold Grid 4.x. The exact tokenomics are not defined yet. I'm going to show you a sneak preview, but that's not defined. Like I said, it's a possibility. And there are multiple variations. We're making simulations, and we're working with people to figure it out. So, unconfirmed, a possible tokenomics for an organic growth model. I'll explain that a little bit more. But basically, don't pin us down onto this exact distribution, nor on the, because it's just one of the possibilities. But this is a possibility where we go from 1 billion TFT seamlessly over into Inca. We just keep on going. So it's not like a forklift thing, or it's not like an airdrop, or it's not like anything more disruptive, which we also thought about in the past. This is more, it's just a continuation. Farming 3.x, TFT, up farming 4, okay. It's now Inca, and it just continues going till the 4 billion has been achieved. And this could be the result that then after 4 billion, so you can see the farmers and the technology would have 15.6% of the grid 1 to 3. Of course, after the 4 billion, we're now only at 1 billion. And then 44.4% ThreeFold Grid 4. DMCC is a threefold, basically. I should probably have another name for that. The team, 12.5% grants, investors, so that's the investment round we are working on. What is that again? Community expansion rewards, I guess. Yeah, rewards for the community. So pretty much everything goes back to the grants, community rewards, farmers, even the MCC, that's all going back to the community. Yeah? So as you can see, this is a model where pretty much everything goes back to the community. Of course, in 4, we don't want all the tokens to hit the market right away. So there will be an amount of tokens available, and we came up with a model where tokens are being released gradually, because that's what investors would like to see, and we're still talking with them. But it could be something like this, is over 4 years, if I'm not mistaken, where you can see how investors and team and grants and whatever, it gets released slowly, so that basically over time, the token can do the right thing, right? Before I go into more details, any question so far? No. Maybe I should also check the chat. No, no chat. Good. So that's where we are. Now, some of the messaging, we would love to have your feedback. So let's go there. I'm not going to go over all the slides, obviously, we don't have time for that, but we're trying to come up with the right narrative. This is not very token specific or not very deep in specific. What the team tried to do was to come up with a messaging around why do we exist? Why will people want to host on us, and why are we different? And the link is in the slides, so you can look into it. So we're not dreaming about a better internet, we're building it. We don't need another painkiller, because what is important to realize is we're not just the tokens, right? There is the tokens, there is what we do with governments and what we do with enterprises and telcos, and there is what we do through a big investment round we're working on. But it's all about how can we deliver a new engine for this new internet. And if you look at this new internet, there are clear threats to do with cloud being too centralized or too expensive, or and some of these things are very bad, like cybersecurity is a very big threat. So yeah, of course, we have history, you have seen this. We put a slide in about the evolution of the internet. So how the internet at one point in time was very free, and how we move into, then we had this period where we lost a lot of the authenticity of the internet. And then we're now pioneering a new autonomous cloud engine, which allows the internet to be more secure, more green, more scalable, and so on. So cyber safety is a very important element. This is one of the things, by the way, we also have to do a couple of things about, because we had some things happening on our network. We're now putting some features in to deal with that, but that's going to happen more, right? The more we go decentralized, the more that people will try to make up use of it. And then obviously we as engineers need to make sure that these holes get plugged, and some of that has to be done by rules as well. So cyber safety is important. At the end, we're playing in $1 trillion market. And the message I would like to bring across here is that, yes, the token is not in a good state right now. We know that. And that's because of not enough marketing, not doing maybe good enough communication, maybe some other mistakes we've made. That obviously all needs to change. But we have this incredible technology, which is playing in a very big market. This is literally $1 trillion cloud and cybersecurity market. We're not a small protocol. We're not a marketplace. We have truly reinvented the way how you build a new internet, how you do new cloud. And that gives anyone who wants to work with us from a commercial angle, from a token angle, from an investment angle, a huge opportunity. We can truly be positioned as an antidote to the cyber pandemic, which is a problem consisting of trillions of dollars per year. AI and edge workloads, thanks to AI, the world changed, as we all know. Now more than ever, they claim that there is $1 trillion amount of hardware needed. That means from a deepened perspective and from what we are, we're in a very good position. And of course, sovereignty is very important, and that shows with our governments and so on. I skip those because you know those. You know the 3 inventions which we have done: the bare metal operating system 0S, the quantum safe storage system, the quantum safe network system, which is Mycelium. So we have pretty cool stuff. We can explain how it works, how everyone can work with it. It's at the edge. I go too quickly, I know that, but you guys can look at it yourself. We have different use cases. ThreeFold Grid is like obviously the main use case right now, but there are also people using the same technology with potentially the tokens to build commercial, bigger environments, you know, like with containers, and go to bigger. Or why not even put it in homes or like universities? Or why not even do it for countries? And these things are actually happening. So that's, of course, very, very incredible. So our impact is that we can allow billions of people to access the internet. Or it's not just access, it's more about the capacity. We can empower people, and we can build a more connected world. Okay, this is the slide I wanted to get your attention on. So it's all about expansion right now. Okay, this is our game, right? We want to expand, we need to expand to the world. And how do we do that? So there are 3 ways how we fund that expansion, if you want. One is through the open source movement. That's the group we're now talking with, which is our grid, which is super important. This is really like a beautiful decentralized way how people get motivated to become a farmer, and they then provide capacity to this new internet. So now we are at the stage that we need to start promoting the nodes again and so on, but we need your advice. Then there's this middle bucket, which is something we're working on for a small while, but we're hiring a team who will work on this and nothing but this. There is a lot of money in the world which is waiting to be deployed in data centers and infrastructure and so on. And we want to mobilize that. And that's a lot of money which is possible there to basically work on these projects we are going after. And then there is an idea that's not defined yet when we will do it, nor what the amount will be, to do a public fundraise like a security token. Why not do a security token, maybe in the beginning next year or so, where we, through the public, do a security token to raise more money for working on the locations where we are, right? So that's where we are. I go quickly to make sure we have enough time for everyone else. So this you can see, I'm not going to repeat it, but you can find a little bit more of the narrative which we're having around the size of the business and why it's happening in the cyber pandemic and what we are doing and why we exist and so on. This is more written in words, right, as notes. Looking forward to get your feedback. And that's the expansion methods. And okay, my last slide, and this is one I need your guys' feedback on. If you don't want to do it in the meeting today, that's perfectly okay. But there are kind of two options which are coming alive around this Inca launch. We are right now on option number 1, which is we need to conclude on the fundraise. This can take months, right? We don't know the exact time. It's hard to know. Can be a little bit longer, it can be shorter. So we need to conclude on the fundraise. Then that fundraise is needed for the marketing team, the token launch, I do all the things. And then the exact tokenomics will be defined together with the investors, because that's what we heard from these types of investors. They want to have their input in your tokenomics. So which means we cannot launch the token despite what we thought in the beginning. But that got not, we got like the request, if you want. We said, no, don't put the token out yet until you know the investors you're going to work with, your partners, because they will give you a lot of important feedback on how to do it. Of course, in parallel, we're doing our farming, we're doing our use cases, we prepare for the 4.x launch, but that doesn't help our market cap or our token price, right? So that's also not good from an optical perspective. Option 2, we could do more an organic launch, where we already start talking about ThreeFold Grid 4.x, but then we have to agree on the community, with the community on the details, right? Because then we have to agree on certain things. We can already start selling Inca nodes, right? ThreeFold nodes with the partners, of course. Obviously, this is not something ThreeFold wants to use the partners as much, our community as much as we can. That's our wish. And we also have mycelium routers. So it's not only nodes, it's ThreeFold Grid for nodes and mycelium routers. Inca would not be, you would not be able to buy an Inca, right? It's not, you can only get Inca by farming. So it's like a promise on Inca, but they're not real tokens yet. And Inca would be the continuation, like I said before, of TFT. And that would be in line with the intention of have 4 billion tokens. So tokenomics, I showed you an example. So it's not that much changes with how we do it today, but there is an issue. There is still quite some work to be done, and we need to find consensus. And also it means that we already choose a model. So then that's maybe also a downside. So there is less room from an investor because yeah, if we go out that way, we cannot start selling Inca nodes unless we have to tell them how the reward system will work, right? Logically. But once the reward system is nailed down, yeah, then an investor cannot come back to us and say, hey, wait a minute, we want to give you this and this, but then, you know, we want this and this change. Yeah, that's then not possible anymore. So maybe this call is not the right medium to talk about it, or maybe we need to do another call, or maybe you want to reach out to me, or maybe one of you wants to talk about it. But is this something we need to think about, right? And you can, so yeah, what makes most sense? Anyone has some feedback already, or you want to keep that for later or more private conversations? No? Okay.
Christoph Otto here. I think this question is also quite heavily related for existing farmers and potentially also the larger farmers who might be impacted relatively soon on that subject, no?
Yes. Well, it all depends a little bit of how fast the fundraise will go, right? If the
Yeah.
fundraise would go very fast, then yeah, then I guess we're better waiting. But yeah, we don't have a glass ball, so
Yeah.
we know that. So what if it takes longer and the token price keeps on going down, right? That's also not something we want. So
Wait, what has been proven is that fundraising takes long.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, this is really a tough job and it really takes long. So I think organic launch in parallel to find, I mean, again, I'm not I mean, I'm partially owner of a farm with our with our cherry chapters, but other than that, I think really a big voice goes to existing larger farmers. But anyway, to proceed with technology, my personal opinion, and I'm just a single person here, right? So I would rather go for organic launch, but again, leave it to the discussion.
yeah. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Otto. So please, anyone who sees this video, because I know a lot of people view this afterwards, let us know. We're very much looking forward to have your feedback. Don't hesitate to even reach out to me directly on the Telegram or so, or on our chat on the website. But thank you, Otto, for your feedback.
Can I give a little feedback, Christoph?
Please, Robert, please.
And I've been trying to formulate it while Otto was talking, so I don't really know how to put it. I'm just trying to, well, give you the current situation. I don't know if this is the same thing that Otto is referring to, but I noticed myself and also towards my clients and future clients that I'm a little bit hesitant on, you know, this, even though it's exciting and it's good, we're going into a new grid 4 and a new token, it also creates a like a hesitation, like why would I invest in another large node not knowing if it actually carries the correct specifications for where we are going with grid 4. So as a matter of fact, we just launched a new node, and when this came out, I quickly tried to get through my stock and not taking up any more stock, because I don't want to be left with a lot of nodes that I can't use anymore, because we suddenly use that the whole specification structure changes. So and that brings me to the same, well, actually a related topic, I think, is in marketing. You mentioned that we are a few slides back, you say we are looking maybe for people to participate in this whole Inca and Inca team, let's call it that way. And I don't know anything about tokens and crypto, so I'm not going to get myself involved. But we do have a large network, and we can make it much larger. I mean, without you paying me in fiat money, you know, if the word is like, hey, can you contact this and this group because we're going to, you know, the whole market. I bet there's a community out there that is willing to help ThreeFold be really big. But I guess somewhere there needs to be a plan for those type of people and say, okay, we start on the 1st of September and this is our plan. Who wants to cooperate? So I'm just giving you this information that I, you know, I'm looking forward to be involved in any way I can, as long as I have the knowledge.
Thank you, Robert. But I couldn't agree more. Look, there is a little bit of danger to wait too long, right? In the option 1, because you said it, right? You're an extremely nice an incredible supporter of our project. And yeah, you also say, and I understand that, I'm not going to take new stock, right? Because there is an uncertainty towards the future, which is very logical, right? I would do the same. Which probably means that the longer we wait in resolving that uncertainty and making sure that everyone knows what's going to happen and what the rewards will be and so on, yeah, we're kind of getting stuck, right? We cannot sell nodes, we cannot and that's a little bit of a dangerous thing, I would say. So from that perspective, this option 2 might be, yeah, it's maybe not ideal, but maybe it's what we need to do, so that by September, that would be a good time. We can go out and, like you suggest, because we have very loyal community and a lot of people actually waiting to do more things, which are asking us to do more things. But now I need to tell them, wait, because, you know, we can't do it yet. We're still working on the tokenomics. We still need to finish that. But that's maybe not so good either. Maybe it's better that we find agreement on it and Yeah, and then we can start selling nodes again, and everyone will know what's going to come, and we can take that bridge because it's actually very exciting what's happening.
Yeah.
But okay,
I was just mentioning the marketing. I'm not sure if you guys saw the comment of Nelson coming in, but he kind of says that this may not be the right time to to do that in the current market. Another thing is we talk about when we talk about applications and deploying. We've had a NextCloud demonstration, and I've actually taken the liberty to contact NextCloud. And I've spoken to one of the big salespeople. I'm actually trying to get in contact with the CEO in Germany, and surprisingly, they haven't even heard of ThreeFold yet. And that just not that they should, but it's one of those things where I say, well, why don't the big players already know we are there? And if there's a specific, I mean, when are we going to tell them? Yeah, and that's what I'm not expecting an answer from you now. But where's the marketing plan? Who are we going to attack, and how are we going to handle it? That's something that I'm wondering if
it all goes back, Robert, to finding that funding. With the existing team, we're very much focused on engineering, and yeah, keep on spending. Even the people like Mick and Scott and others, who are the interface to our community, they're also doing a lot of technical work in product management and all of that. We're super focused on technology because we've probably created too much technology. Okay, it's needed because building a full-blown cloud engine is a lot of work, but we're simply not funded right now, and we might be soon, but not right now, to do those kind of activities. Of course, the moment, and we should, I fully agree with you. It also hurts me, it's like, damn, why can't we, yeah, now that everything is there, and why, indeed, everyone should know about this, right? It's just crazy that they don't. But okay. Look, gentlemen, I suggest we continue, but thank you very much for your feedback, Robert, Otto, and everyone else who will give it. And of course, let's hope the funding is there soon, but if not, please give me some feedback about this topic. And also, Nelson, I agree with you. Maybe it's not the right time to go out, but okay, maybe we should do a call just about this. I don't know. Sam, maybe you can think about that. Anyhow, development activities, and then I hand over to the rest of the organization. Development activities. Yeah, I didn't fill everything in, run out of time, to be honest. Version 3.14 has been delivered, as most of you know. Everyone seems to be happy. The voting needs to go better, though, but that's the next slide we need to talk about, because sometimes if we don't get to the required quota, then it gets blocked and then we can't continue. Version 3.15, we're still in the preparation mode. So we are continuing. In 3.14, we will have a 3.14.1 or 2, I don't know, which is to do with this network thing, security thing we need to address. And there will be some other things we need to do. But right now we're working 3.15, just some of the features, but we're working on event management. Of course, the Mycelium network will have clients for mobile desktops. We're working on a tutorial for the quantum safe storage system, which is something which is actually not used that much, while it's actually an incredible piece of technology. So Scott and Mick are pushing the organization to finish that one. And there is much more, but we'll bring you up to speed as we go. Anyhow, I'm handing over to, I don't know who. Sam, who's going to take the next slide?
Yep, sorry. I think yeah, I mean I can talk about them I think, and with any support from Scott and Mick. So we have a couple of last final topics to cover. Hopefully the community is aware of this one. Today we launched a revote for a one-time minting adjustment related to the FarmerBot update, which was needed with 3.14 release. Maybe Scott, you can go in a bit deeper into what's going on and what we're doing to address it.
Sure. So just to fill everyone in, with 3.14, there was a requirement that farmers who are operating the FarmerBot update to a new version. And because we didn't coordinate this well with the community, we presented a gap that basically gives a window for the farmers to update where they won't be penalized if their farm bot stopped functioning because they didn't update, because they didn't know. And when we ran the first GEP, it didn't meet the threshold. So the way that the GEPs work is that a certain number of farms must participate in any vote for it to become finalized. So there's the weight of yes and no votes, as well as a total threshold. So since we didn't meet the threshold, we're running the vote again, giving community a chance to sort of rally and just get the necessary participation. And we're also looking at this because it's not the first time that we've been in this situation. So we're looking at how to update the process for GEPs so that we have a process that reflects the desires and the will of the community, but also isn't getting stuck because of a lower level of participation. And again, if anyone has ideas about how we should handle this or what we should do, please make your voices heard, because the DAO and the GEPs are there so that community can participate. And what we find is that there's generally low participation. So if there's a better way that we can be engaging with the community, getting everyone involved, if you guys don't want to vote or be involved in decisions, then and that's fair too, but just let us know. We can of course change this process. But that's really there for all of you. So if you're here on the call, if you're watching this, please get involved and let us know how
Sorry, it's me again, Scott.
this.
Can I reply to this?
Sure, go ahead. We have just a couple minutes, so we can keep it quick.
I'm going to keep it real quick, and I know I've said it 100 times, so this will be the 101st. Get the possibility on the mobile app, the ThreeFold Connect app. And I'm just saying that is because when I see the request coming in when I'm at work, I can simply grab my mobile, log in, and press whatever button I need. But by the time I get home, I'm either forgot about this, need to switch on my computer, go to the dashboard, switch accounts, because in the past and then I have to look for my password, and then I have to try a way to find back, and it's too much hassle, so I don't. So that's my own stupidity. I'm speaking for myself here, but get it in an app and you'll get more votes.
Absolutely. Heard
I love your feedback, Robert. Well, to be honest, I have the same.
Yeah, we've heard that. It's not straightforward for sure. And yeah, the app is something that hasn't gotten much love for a while. So it's input that we've noted, and as soon as it's possible to make that happen for sure. All right, so moving on. As Christoph mentioned, we are working on an initiative right now to help keep farmers safe from activity happening on the nodes. We've been hearing from farmers that they're getting notices from their ISPs that their nodes seem to be connecting to some IP addresses or some URLs that are associated with malware. So this is actually pretty fuzzy. I mean, I've investigated a number of these reports, and I think in a big way, it's the internet service providers having just the utmost caution around what's happening inside of users' networks, which is great, of course, for protecting them. But we haven't found any evidence that nodes are actually doing anything malicious. They just seem to be connecting to some IP addresses that maybe at some point in the past were being used by somebody as part of a malware network or something like this. But these can be IP addresses that belong to cloud service providers, maybe have been reused. So just want to highlight, like, we haven't identified clearly that these nodes are doing anything malicious or participating in any kind of attacks or things like this. What we're doing.
That being said, right, Scott, well, you're going to say this anyhow. We have to make sure that these things can't happen no matter what. No?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is to say that we're taking this very seriously, and we are implementing measures within ZeroS that restrict the traffic that can come out of workloads in fairly major ways. And, we've built an amazing technology that's super capable. If you look at the ThreeFold ZeroS and what it can do compared to the other Web3 projects out there, it has many more capabilities. And part of having all these capabilities is now needing to place some restrictions on those capabilities so that we're sure that farmers are safe.
Yeah.
So we're
This
actively
might
working
also
on
give
this.
us some trouble, huh? Because if we, I mean, to really protect us, we need to limit more, like Scott said. Well, probably not everyone is going to like that either, right? So it's finding this balance between, yeah, stopping certain things and, yeah, making sure everyone is safe. But yeah, I don't think there is a perfect solution to that. We'll have to find that balance. But personally, I don't know about you guys, but I personally am rather more safe than sorry. So even if it means we restrict a little bit too much in the beginning and then we find ways around it, I would still rather prefer that than, yeah, making a mistake somewhere and having some accidents, right?
I think you're right there, Crystal. Many of it, I think Scott may be partly referring to what happened in the Netherlands with well, some of them. As a matter of fact, just a message came in on the Telegram app from one of the customers that turned off his Note because he get threatened by his ISP. So they don't want to lose their internet connection because
Logically.
somebody installed a bot on it or so. So
yeah. So that's why one of the suggestions is to well, look, we'll send it around. Maybe we don't have to address it here, but yeah, we believe that we need to be more restrictive so that these things cannot happen. Because not everyone can be trusted, unfortunately, in this world. So we have to make sure that no matter what, the person putting a box at home cannot have the downside of that. But that will make sure that will get certain workloads not to run anymore. That's what it means. But okay,
Yes.
we cannot do that here on this call.
Yeah, so security is really a big issue overall in industry. My wife works at the fraud department of a large bank, and security is the hottest topic. And my personal opinion, again, I think it will come to the position or to the time when everybody who enters the internet will have to authenticate himself. Maybe that is, I mean, with decentralization, I think we have to think that about, and maybe we can build in something like this. Yeah, but the more we get decentralized, the more we get distributed, the more important. And I mean, it's a philosophical question as well, and we won't find an answer here because, again, that you have somebody who needs to control the authentication or whatever. But anyway, there needs to be, because we are so kind of uncontrolled, there needs to be a mechanism in place sooner or later. Anyway, next discussion topic.
Thank you, Otto. Okay, we're slightly over time. Thank you, everyone. I think Sam is still around there somewhere. Well, we can do it instead of Sam. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
thanks everyone for coming. Good to see you. Thanks for bringing your questions and your inputs. Thanks, Christoph, Meek, and Sam, and Timur for the excellent demo. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Good to see you guys.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.